Hello, Zenith women, and welcome to the channel. Now, power is not given, it is taken. Napoleon Bonaparte. But here's the twist. Sigma females don't take power, they don't beg for it, they don't demand it, and they certainly don't chase it. Yet somehow they end up commanding respect everywhere they go. How? Science has already proven that human behavior is wired for social hierarchies. People instinctively submit to those they perceive as dominant. But Sigma females? They break the system. They don't climb ladders, they dismantle them. They don't perform for approval, they force it through sheer presence. And the best part? They do it all without even trying. It's not magic, it's not arrogance. It's a rare combination of mindset, energy, and a quiet authority that makes people instinctively sit up and take notice. Want to know why even their silence carries more weight than most people's loudest voices? Keep watching. Because once you understand how Sigma females command respect, you'll start seeing the world in a completely different way. Number one, she doesn't try to impress anyone. Most people walk into a room wondering, how can I make them like me? Sigma females. They walk in thinking, do I even care to be here? That shift in mindset changes everything. When someone is desperate to impress, you can feel it. The way they over-explain, the way they laugh at unfunny jokes, the way their energy screams, please approve of me. It's exhausting to witness. But a Sigma female doesn't have that problem. She's not there to perform. She's not adjusting herself to fit some invisible standard of acceptance. And that's exactly why people respect her. There's something unnerving about a woman who doesn't try to impress anyone. It throws people off. They're used to people working for their approval, showing off, bragging, overcompensating. But when a Sigma female just exists in her own energy, unbothered and uninterested in winning anyone over, it forces people to wonder about her. And curiosity, when mixed with confidence, breeds respect. She doesn't feel the need to highlight her accomplishments. She's not listing off her credentials to prove her worth. She lets people figure it out on their own if they're paying attention. And here's the thing, they always are. When someone isn't broadcasting how valuable they are, it makes people want to find out. It's the same reason people chase exclusivity. The less available something seems, the more desirable it becomes. And here's where it gets really interesting, because she's not desperate to impress. She actually becomes more impressive. She doesn't talk about how intelligent she is, but people notice. She doesn't try to prove her confidence, but it radiates in the way she moves. She doesn't seek attention, yet somehow all eyes are on her. Meanwhile, the people who are trying too hard, they lose respect without even realizing it. The moment someone tries too much to impress, they reveal their insecurity. And if there's one thing a Sigma female never does, it's beg for approval. That's why she commands respect without even trying. It's not about being loud, flashy, or forceful. It's about knowing deep in her core that she is enough, whether anyone else acknowledges it or not. Number two, her energy commands more than her words ever could. There's something about her presence that shifts the atmosphere. She doesn't have to announce herself, doesn't have to force attention. People just know she's different. It's not about arrogance, and it's not about intimidation. It's the quiet confidence, the self-assurance, the way she moves through life with complete certainty that makes people instinctively sit up and take notice. Most people rely on words to prove their worth, bragging, exaggerating, trying to convince the world they matter. A Sigma female never does. She doesn't need to. Her energy speaks for her. It's in the way she walks, not hurried, not hesitant, just deliberate. It's in the way she makes eye contact, steady, unshaken, as if she sees right through you. It's in the way she stands, fully owning her space without shrinking or seeking validation. People can't quite put their finger on it, but they feel it. There's no desperation in her presence, no neediness, no approval-seeking behavior. She doesn't fidget, doesn't try to fill the silence, doesn't feel the need to explain herself unnecessarily. That level of self-possession is rare, and anything rare commands attention. Even in a crowded room, her energy sets her apart. While others are competing to be heard, she remains unfazed, detached from the noise. And that's precisely why people listen when she speaks. She doesn't waste words. When she talks, she means it. When she acts, it's with purpose. And that makes everything she does matter more. Those who don't understand it might mistake her for being cold, but it's not detachment, it's power. She doesn't overextend herself. She doesn't engage in meaningless interactions. She moves with an awareness that most people lack, and that makes her presence heavy in the best way possible. Respect isn't demanded, it's inspired. And a Sigma female without effort inspires it just by being. Number 3, she doesn't chase power, yet it ends up in her hands. There's an irony to power. Those who chase it the hardest often end up with the least of it. The ones who constantly scheme, manipulate, and claw their way to the top usually get there alone, resented, untrusted, and secretly despised. But Sigma females? They have a completely different approach. They don't chase power, they don't crave control, yet somehow power finds them. Why? Because true leadership isn't about forcing people to follow, it's about making them want to. A Sigma female never begs for authority, yet people naturally look to her for direction. She's not obsessed with titles, status, or recognition, but people recognize her anyway. It's not because she demands respect, it's because she carries herself in a way that makes others give it to her freely. She doesn't manipulate people into trusting her, she earns it without trying. Her decisions are made with clarity, not ego. She has no interest in playing office politics, yet somehow she's the one people go to when they need real solutions. While others fight to prove their dominance, she simply exists with a presence that says, I know who I am and I don't need to prove it to you. And that in itself is power. People follow her not because she forces them to, but because they trust her judgment. They respect her ability to remain unshaken in chaos. They see how she moves, how she makes decisions without hesitation, how she doesn't crumble under pressure, how she remains unfazed by pettiness and drama. And in a world full of people desperately trying to assert themselves, that kind of quiet strength is magnetic. The loudest person in the room isn't the one with the most power, it's the one who can hold their ground without needing to shout, who commands respect without having to demand it. That's why power always ends up in the Sigma female's hands, because she's one of the few people strong enough not to chase it. Number 4, she doesn't over-explain or apologize unnecessarily. There's a certain power in silence, something most people never master. They feel the need to explain themselves, justify their choices, and over-explain their reasoning, as if the world will only accept them if they provide enough context. Sigma females don't operate that way. They understand a simple truth: the more you explain yourself, the weaker you sound. A Sigma female doesn't waste time proving herself to people who don't matter. She doesn't dilute her words with unnecessary explanations, and she certainly doesn't apologize just to make others feel comfortable. When she speaks, she's direct, clear, no fluff, no excessive justifications. And that brevity alone commands respect. People are used to hearing long-winded excuses and over-explanations. They're used to others seeking validation for their decisions. So when a Sigma female simply states what she wants, what she believes, or what she's going to do without seeking permission, it forces people to take her seriously. There's no room for doubt, no space for negotiation. She's made her choice, and that's that. And then there's the apologizing. Society conditions women in particular to soften their presence by over-apologizing. Sorry for speaking up, sorry for taking up space, sorry for having an opinion. Sigma females reject this completely. They don't apologize unless they actually did something wrong. They don't say sorry for existing, for setting boundaries, or for standing their ground. And because they don't make a habit of unnecessary apologies, when they do say, I'm sorry, it actually means something. This kind of directness throws people off. Some mistake it for arrogance, but those who get it recognize it for what it really is: a deep, unshakable self-respect. And when someone respects themselves that much, the world has no choice but to respect them too. Number 5, she doesn't play the polite game when it's not deserved. Most people spend their lives performing. They fake smiles, nod along to conversations they don't care about, and laugh at jokes that aren't funny, all in the name of politeness. Sigma females don't play that game. If she's not genuinely amused, she won't laugh. If she doesn't respect someone, she won't pretend to. And if she's uninterested in a conversation, she won't force herself to engage. That level of honesty is rare, and people feel it the moment they interact with her. It's not about being rude, it's about being real. She doesn't see the point in masking her true feelings just to make others comfortable. And ironically, that refusal to perform makes people respect her even more. There's something unsettling about someone who isn't trying to impress you. Most people are used to flattery, small talk, and forced enthusiasm. But when they encounter a Sigma female, they quickly realize she's not playing along. She's not laughing just to stroke someone's ego. She's not smiling because it's expected. She's simply being herself. That unshakable authenticity creates an aura of quiet authority. People don't second-guess her words because they know she means them. They don't question her respect because they know she doesn't give it freely. And they certainly don't mistake her for someone they can manipulate because she's already proven she won't bend just to fit in. Some might find her intimidating, others might find her refreshingly honest. But one thing's for sure, no one ever sees her as weak. She operates on her own terms, not society's expectations. And in a world where most people dilute themselves to be liked, a woman who refuses to play along naturally commands respect. Number 6, she's rarely shocked, and that freaks people out. Most people thrive on drama, their emotions rising and falling with every new piece of gossip or scandal. They gasp, overreact, and get caught up in the whirlwind of chaos, as if their reaction is what gives them importance. But a Sigma female? She stays unbothered. No dramatic gasps, no exaggerated outrage, just a steady, unreadable calm that throws people off completely. It's not that she doesn't care, she simply doesn't see the point in reacting the way others do. She's processed enough in life to know that most things aren't worth the emotional energy people give them. So when a big scandal hits, when everyone around her is spiraling, when people expect her to lose it, she doesn't. And that unnerves people. They don't understand how she can be so composed, how she doesn't flinch when confronted with chaos. That level of emotional control is powerful. It makes people take her seriously because they know she's not someone who can be easily shaken. It also subtly shifts the power dynamic in any interaction. The person who stays calm always has the upper hand over those who are reactive. And deep down, people respect that. They might not say it out loud, but they instinctively recognize that she's different, someone who can handle pressure without breaking. Her lack of shock also means she's impossible to manipulate with emotional theatrics. People who rely on stirring up drama to control others quickly realize that their usual tactics don't work on her. They can cry, yell, throw a fit, she'll just watch, unfazed, waiting for them to finish. And that really freaks them out. In a world where everyone is conditioned to react instantly, a woman who remains unshaken stands out like a force of nature. She doesn't need to prove her strength. It's written all over her composed expression, her steady tone, her effortless control. And that, more than anything, commands an unspoken respect that few can match. Number 7, she forces people to speak with substance. Most people talk just to fill the silence, mindless chatter, empty compliments, surface-level observations. But a Sigma female has no patience for meaningless conversations. She doesn't do small talk, she doesn't engage in empty gossip, and she certainly doesn't entertain people who talk just to hear their own voices. This instantly forces people to either bring substance or get left behind. She has a way of steering conversations towards something deeper, something real. If you're talking to her, you're not just tossing around generic opinions. You're thinking, questioning, reflecting. And if you're not, she disengages. No explanations, no fake enthusiasm, just a quiet exit that makes people wonder why their words weren't worth her time. That's what makes her unforgettable. She's not another person who nods along to empty chatter. She challenges people to think, to bring something valuable to the table, and because she doesn't waste words, people listen when she speaks. She doesn't talk for the sake of talking, so when she does say something, it carries weight. It matters. This forces others to level up in her presence. They realize quickly that the usual nonsense won't work with her, that if they want her attention, they have to earn it with real conversation. And the ones who rise to that challenge respect her deeply for it. She's not rude about it. She doesn't interrupt people or make them feel small. But her energy makes it clear. If you want my time, bring something real to the table. And that quiet standard alone sets her apart, making her someone people want to impress, not with status or wealth, but with the depth of their thoughts. Number 8, she never asks for permission to be herself. Most people spend their lives waiting for approval, waiting for permission, waiting for someone to tell them it's okay to be who they really are. A Sigma female, she doesn't wait for anyone. She doesn't shrink herself to fit into neat little boxes. And she definitely doesn't ask for validation before making a move. She just does, and that alone commands respect. She dresses how she wants, even if it doesn't align with trends. She speaks her mind, even if it makes people uncomfortable. She chooses her lifestyle without asking if it's acceptable. She's not rebellious for the sake of it. She simply refuses to shape herself around expectations that don't serve her. and because of that, people take her seriously. There's an undeniable power in someone who moves through life with self-certainty. She's not reckless or arrogant, she's just sure of herself. That kind of quiet confidence unsettles those who rely on social validation. They wonder, how is she so comfortable in her own skin? Why doesn't she need approval like the rest of us? And the answer is simple, because she gave herself permission to be exactly who she is, without waiting for anyone else to do it for her. This isn't about being rude or dismissive, it's about self-respect. She doesn't need people to understand her choices, and she's not wasting energy trying to explain herself. People can either accept her as she is, or move along. Either way, she's unmoved, and that's what makes her impossible to ignore. She doesn't demand respect. She naturally attracts it, because when someone carries themselves with that much certainty, the world has no choice but to take notice. Number 9. She speaks in facts, not flattery. While most people dance around the truth, wrapping it in layers of flattery and pleasing words, a Sigma female cuts straight to the point. She doesn't see the need to sugarcoat anything. If she has something to say, she says it, and she says it with absolute clarity. There's no beating around the bush or playing nice for the sake of comfort. If it's the truth, she will speak it, no matter how uncomfortable it might make others feel. This isn't about being blunt for the sake of it. It's not about being rude or cruel. It's simply that the Sigma female values honesty over appeasing others. In a world full of people who hide behind pleasantries to avoid conflict, she stands out like a breath of fresh air. She doesn't waste time flattering others just to be liked. If something needs to be said, she'll say it, whether it's praised or criticized. And here's the thing, even those who might dislike her still respect her. Deep down, everyone craves the truth. They may not always like it, but they respect it. People instinctively know that she's not trying to manipulate them with sweet words or empty compliments. When she speaks, they listen because they know what she's saying has substance. It's easy to say what people want to hear. It's easy to flatter and pretend, but when the words are real, when they come from a place of honesty, they cut through all the noise. That's the type of power a Sigma female holds. She doesn't rely on flattery to get by. She stands firmly on the ground of truth, and that's what demands respect. Number 10, she's hard to read, and that makes people cautious. While most people wear their emotions on their sleeves, signaling exactly how they feel and what they're thinking, a Sigma female remains an enigma. She doesn't give away all of herself to anyone, her thoughts, her intentions, her next move. They're hidden beneath layers of mystery. She's not intentionally secretive, she just doesn't see the need to reveal herself unless she chooses to. That unpredictability is what makes people stop and take notice. When others are around her, they can't fully anticipate how she'll react, what she'll do, or what she's thinking. She doesn't wear her heart on her sleeve or give off any telltale signs of where her mind is at. That leaves people constantly trying to figure her out, staying on their toes, wondering what's coming next. This unpredictability makes her fascinating, and it makes people cautious. In a world where most people are easy to read, easy to predict, and easy to manipulate, the Sigma female is a breath of fresh air. No one can box her in or figure out her every move. This level of unpredictability forces people to be more careful around her, to think before they act or speak. The ones who try to manipulate or control her quickly realize that it's not as easy as it is with others. And that in itself demands respect. People might not always like it, but they respect it because it's a form of power, one that is silent, subtle, and hard to break. In a world where so much is transparent and easy to read, a woman who remains complex and full of mystery commands attention. She doesn't have to try. Her unpredictability does the work for her, keeping people intrigued and cautious. In a world where most people crave attention, validation, and the comfort of being understood, the Sigma female stands apart, not by force, but by sheer presence. She doesn't play the game, she redefines it. Her power isn't in her words, her appearance, or the things she possesses, but in the quiet, unshakable force of her character. She doesn't chase respect. She commands it effortlessly, simply by being true to herself and living life on her terms. Her confidence doesn't scream, it whispers, but that whisper is loud enough to silence the noise around her. People don't need to be told to respect her. They feel it without being reminded. It's woven into every action, every glance, every decision she makes. And even those who may not like her or agree with her ways can't help but acknowledge the unspoken authority she carries. The Sigma female doesn't seek approval or fitting into society's molds. She defines her own path, reshapes the narrative, and walks it with a calm, unwavering certainty. People are drawn to that strength, that mystery, that substance. They may not always understand her, but they respect her. And that is the true power of a Sigma female. She doesn't just exist in the world, she moves through it, reshaping how others see themselves and what it means to truly command respect. If you found yourself captivated by the power and presence of a Sigma female, then you know there's more to discover. So don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button, like, and share this with anyone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment and let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear how you see the Sigma female in action. Stay tuned for more insights that will keep you thinking, growing, and challenging the status quo. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.